Hey, what is going on, guys? Happy New Year, and to round out 2023, I'm going to be giving you my top 10 paid car mods of the year. I have taken all of the paid content that has come out this year from the studios that I've personally covered, so the three of which being RSS, VRC, and URD, and I have done the difficult task of sorting them into a personal top 10 recommendation from my experience and my taste. So this isn't necessarily a 100% like, the quality of the mods. Of course, all of them are very high quality to be on this top 10 list, and if some of them have, more features and more detail, then that might put them a little higher. But this is also just a ranking on my enjoyment that I've had with them throughout the year. Before we get into the 10 though, I did want to put an honorable mention because I wanted to put this on the list, but sadly for me personally, it did just get edged out a little bit. But it is the VRC Dodge TA2 car. This added on to their other two TA2 cars, which was a Ford Mustang and a Chevy Camaro. These things are super cool. Think NASCAR, but made to go on a circuit and have, all the aero and stuff that you could need. These things are really fun to drive. I really enjoy driving it. It's pretty difficult to get around the circuit, but just sadly beaten out here. If it's the 11th place on the list, that's the honorable mention. But anyway, let's get on to the first mod. Number 10, I have the URD Radical SR10 XXR. One of the main reasons I put this on the list is this is an actually licensed car, and as far as I know, URD did actually get some simulation data and things like that from Radical to make this car. So in theory, it is pretty damn realistic. It actually does feel pretty similar to the one in iRacing, and of course I know that one does use real life data and things like that. So it's a very high quality car mod. It is a Radical, so it's very much its kind of own thing. So that's what kind of inhibits it from being a little higher on this list, but a fun car, especially to race around with the AI. Number 9 is the RSS Lambo GT3 car, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. This is one of RSS's many GT3 cars that came out on this list. This is actually the only GT3 car from any other studio on this list. I didn't want to oversaturate it with GT3s, and this is my favorite one that's been made this year. I really like the Lambo. I love the look of it. I love the sound, of course, from that V10 engine, and it's been, of course, very enjoyable to drive and a very high quality car. So that's why it's not higher, because it is still, kind of just a GT3, but it is a fun and great car nonetheless. And number 8, we have a car that I think a lot of people actually forgot about. This is the RSS Formula 1986 V6. This is, of course, RSS's take on a 1986 V6 powered Formula 1 car, and what a cool car this thing is. Of course, it's got the big boosty turbo that gives it a ton of power, especially, coming out of corners lower in the rev range, and it, of course, as well, sounds amazing, and it has that RSS quality that I always talk about, and it's just a very good car. It's one that I actually haven't driven as much as I would like, just because, again, I think this car was kind of overshadowed when it originally came out. I don't even think a lot of people maybe knew that this car existed, but it's a very good car, and I highly recommend you drive it going into 2023 if you haven't already. At number 7, this is the highest up URD mod on this list. This is the GT500 car pack that they put out probably early middle this year in the spring. This has 3 cars: the Nissan GTR GT500, the Honda NSX, and the Toyota Supra. Super duper cool cars, Super GT. If you don't know, they're the fastest GT cars in the world now, especially because DTM has switched over to GT3s, unfortunately. But super cool cars, and super cool to have more of a, niche motorsport, since it's not really known super duper well outside of, Japan and Asia. Super cool to see it getting some really good representation here in Assetto Corsa. We now move on to number 6 on this list, and this is VRC's most recent work, their BTCC cars. The ones that came out very recently, of course, was kind of their French add-on pack with the Peugeot and the Renault, and this is adding to their existing BTCC lineup as well. These cars are super high quality. There's, of course, a lot of Brits who sim race, and BTCC is actually, pretty big in Britain, and having this kind of late 90s, early 2000s era here in Assetto Corsa is super cool to see. This car, of course, has VRC's new extended physics stuff with, manually starting the car and having a lot more kind of in-depth systems and features as well. So super nice to see these cars get some love and a super legendary era in British motorsports as a whole. We now move on to the top 5, and this is RSS's second most recent work, the Aston Martin DBR9, or the Adonis V12 or something like that. It's the Aston Martin DBR9. This is a super cool GT1, slash GT2 car from, again, early 2000s. And this thing, man, what can I say? It sounds so good. And yeah, it's just such a cool car mod. I want more early 2000s, like mid 2000s, actually kind of even early 2010s Le Mans represented in Assetto Corsa, because for me, I don't know, it's just such a cool era. Number 4 on my list might be a little bit surprising to some of you, but if you've been, kind of following me a little more closely, you might actually know that this is not really a surprise. This is the VRC Formula Lithium Gen 3. I actually really enjoyed the Gen 2 car. I was very excited for a Gen 3 car to come to Assetto Corsa, and I am very happy with this car. I drove the hell out of it when it came out. I don't really watch Formula E at all. I don't really like the sound Formula E makes. However, to actually drive these cars and race them, especially on some proper circuits, they are a ton of fun. The instant torque is, of course, super unique, and being on road tires as well, it's just a very unique Formula car driving experience, and I really enjoyed the Formula Lithium Gen 3. We now finally move on to the podium places. Coming in at number 3 is the RSS BMW LMDH car. This thing, I've been wanting these cars, so many people have, all year long, and RSS delivered it to us kind of mid-fall this year. They're working on the Porsche 963 as well, which I'm super excited for, although that is definitely coming out in 2024. But yeah, I love the BMW. It's definitely one of my more favorite looking GTP cars. I think it's a super unique looking one. You can definitely look at it and tell it's a BMW, and I really like that. This car is fantastic to drive, and I'm just excited for their future lineup of IMSA GTPs, and hopefully some WEC LMHs as well. Now, finally, in number 2 is the RSS Formula Hybrid 2023. Of course, this was their 2023 Formula 1 car. Always a great mod, always fantastic, and I really enjoyed this thing when it came out. However, I'm sure you probably already know what number 1 is now, and sadly for me, as soon as the number 1 car on this list came out, it did kind of replace the Formula Hybrid 2023 for me, but still a fantastic car in its own right. It still drives amazing. It sounds amazing as well. I just think that number 1 on this list beat it just by that little bit. And the number 1 car on this list, I'm sure you already know, is the VRC Formula Alpha 2023. This is my car mod of the year, hell, my Assetto Corsa mod as a whole of the year. This car added so much to Assetto Corsa. This was the first time where VRC showed off their new extended physics stuff with anti-stall, manually starting up the car, and a bunch of other features that just make it a tier of its own. It's just a great car. I love the sounds this thing produces. It drives really nicely. It's a little bit harder to drive than the Formula Hybrid, and I like that. And of course, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing, it drives amazing. That's my mod of the year. But yeah, give me your personal top 10 list down in the comments below. Thank you guys for all of your support in 2023. It really does mean a lot to me. And here's to an even better 2024. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you all in 2024. Have a good one, guys.